hair ripping from her scalp, belly hitting metal, the baby inside her kicking in terror. Amara Daniels had faced terrorists, infiltrated hate groups, and dismantled corrupt officers. But nothing prepared her for the moment a cop would brutalize her in broad daylight. And he had no idea the woman bleeding on the asphalt was a federal agent trained to destroy men exactly like him. But that nightmare was still 11 minutes away. Before I continue, if stories of justice, courage, and standing up to corruption move you, hit that subscribe button right now. This story gets more intense, and we'd like to know which city or country you're watching from. Right now, Amara was humming, softly, a lullaby her grandmother used to sing, the melody floating through her car as morning sunlight filtered through the windshield of her silver SUV. Her hand rested on her belly, 7 months swollen, tight, alive with movement. Her son kicked against her palm, and she smiled. "I know, baby," she whispered, "almost there." She was driving to the pharmacy, prenatal vitamins, the boring, beautiful routine of preparing for motherhood. To anyone watching, she looked like just another pregnant woman running errands on a Tuesday morning. That was exactly the point. Because Amara Daniels wasn't just another pregnant woman, she was one of the youngest field agents in the FBI's Behavioral Threat Response Unit, a team that hunted domestic terrorists, dismantled extremist cells, and investigated corrupt law enforcement officers who turned their badges into weapons. Her work had saved lives, exposed hate groups, brought down dirty cops who thought they were untouchable. But nobody in Brookhaven knew that. To them, she was invisible, forgettable, safe to ignore or scrutinize, depending on their mood. Her husband, Jordan Daniels, a cybersecurity expert for the Bureau, had begged her to take full leave from active duty. She agreed, officially. But Amara didn't stop working, because the case she'd been building for 8 months was too important and too close to home. Brookhaven City looked clean. Tree-lined streets, coffee shops with chalkboard menus, but underneath the surface, something was rotting. The Brookhaven Police Department had been under quiet federal surveillance for nearly a year. Anonymous complaints painted a pattern, excessive force incidents that never made the news. Racial profiling disguised as routine stops, and a dangerous clique inside the department known as the Purists. Officers who believed order meant intimidation, who thought respect was something you beat into people, who saw certain faces and decided guilt before a single word was spoken. Amara had been gathering evidence remotely. Digital footprints, incident reports that didn't match body cam footage, complaints that mysteriously disappeared. She was building a case brick by brick, even while her body built a life inside her. One name kept appearing in her files: Deputy Alan Harker, 42 years old, 17 years on the force, a record so clean it looked scrubbed. Complaints against him were always dropped, witnesses always recanted. His disciplinary hearings always ended with exoneration. She'd met him once before. 3 months ago, outside a coffee shop downtown. She remembered the way he stared. Not at her face, at her skin, the way his jaw tightened when she walked past him without lowering her eyes. "Women like you," he said quietly, "should be more careful around here." It wasn't advice. It was a warning. Amara had logged the interaction in her notes that night. Harker, Alan, escalation pattern, targeting behavior. She filed it away, another piece of evidence in a growing mosaic of corruption. She never thought she'd see him again. She was wrong. Now, as Amara turned onto Maple Avenue, her phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. "Pick up bagels on the way back? Love you." She smiled, typing back, "Always. Love you more." The baby kicked again. She rubbed her belly, slowing at a yellow light. In her glove compartment, sealed in a small black leather folder, sat her FBI credentials. Badge, ID, the proof of who she really was. She just never imagined she'd need it today. Because 2 blocks behind her, Deputy Alan Harker sat in his patrol car watching a silver SUV pass through the intersection. He didn't recognize the driver, didn't know her name, didn't care. All he saw was a black woman in an expensive car, and in his mind, that was enough. He flipped on his lights, pulling into traffic behind her. Amara glanced in her rearview mirror. and her breath caught. Red and blue, coming for her. The red and blue lights pulsed in Amara's rearview mirror like a heartbeat, her own heartbeat. Fast, too fast. She checked her speedometer. 32 miles per hour in a 35 zone. She hadn't run the yellow light. Her registration was current. Her hands were at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. There was no reason for this stop, which meant there was every reason to be afraid. "It's okay," she whispered to her belly, to her son. "Stay calm." But her training whispered something else. The way the patrol car had appeared out of nowhere, the aggressive way it followed her for 2 blocks before lighting her up, this wasn't random. This was targeted. Amara pulled into the parking lot of a shuttered gas station, her tires crunching over broken glass. The summer heat poured through her half-open window. Thick, oppressive. She waited. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. The patrol car just sat there, engine running, lights spinning. A psychological tactic she recognized immediately. Make them sweat, make them panic. Amara didn't move. She kept her hands visible on the steering wheel, her breathing measured, her face neutral. But inside, her mind was cataloging everything. The car door opened. Boots hit pavement. Heavy, deliberate. The footsteps approached slowly, too slowly, savoring the power dynamic. Then he appeared in her side mirror. Deputy Alan Harker. Amara's stomach dropped. Not him. Anyone but him. He wore mirrored sunglasses. His hand rested on his service weapon, not gripping it, just touching it. A message, a reminder of who had the power here. "License and registration," Harker said. His voice was flat, emotionless. "May I ask why you pulled me over, officer?" Amara kept her voice steady, respectful. Harker's jaw tightened. "License and registration," he repeated, slower this time, each word a threat. "Of course. I'm reaching for my glove compartment now." Amara narrated every movement. This was the most dangerous moment. The moment officers claimed they feared for their safety. Her fingers touched the glove compartment latch. "Stop!" Harker's hand moved to his weapon. Amara froze, her hand in midair. "Step out of the vehicle." "Officer, I'm 7 months pregnant. I'd prefer to—" "I didn't ask what you'd prefer. Step out of the vehicle. Now." The baby kicked hard. She wanted to scream, wanted to flash her badge and watch his face crumble, but her training overrode her rage. Never reveal your identity unless your life depends on it. Never compromise an ongoing investigation. "I'm complying, officer. I'm 7 months pregnant, so I'm moving slowly." Harker stepped back, hand still on his weapon, watching her like she was dangerous. She opened the door. The heat hit her like a wall. She shifted her weight, trying to maneuver her swollen body out of the SUV without losing her balance. As Amara stood, she noticed something. A detail her training made her catch even through her fear. Harker's left sleeve. A coffee stain. Fresh. The same coffee shop she'd just passed 3 blocks ago, which meant he'd been there, watching, waiting. He'd been following her. "Turn around, hands on the vehicle." "Officer, I haven't done anything wrong. Can you please tell me?" "Are you resisting?" His voice rose, aggressive, performative, and then Amara understood. He was creating a narrative, building a justification. This was about power, about putting her in her place. "I'm not resisting. I'm asking a question." "Last warning. Hands on the vehicle." Amara turned slowly, placing her palms flat on the hot metal of her SUV. The sun-baked steel burned her skin. Her belly pressed against the door. The baby kicked frantically now. She heard Harker move behind her, heard the metallic click of handcuffs leaving his belt. "Officer, please. I'm pregnant. I have done nothing. You're making this harder than it needs to be." His voice was close now, too close, and then she felt it, his hand. Not on her wrist, on her hair. "Wait," she started to say, but the word never finished, because Deputy Alan Harker grabbed a fistful of Amara Daniels's hair and yanked, hard, and everything that came next would destroy him. Pain exploded across Amara's scalp like lightning, white-hot, blinding. She felt individual strands of hair tear from the roots, felt her neck snap backward, felt her body lifted, impossibly, violently, off balance. Then she was falling. No, not falling, being dragged. Her feet scrambled for purchase on the asphalt, but Harker was moving too fast, pulling too hard. Her knee hit the ground first, then her hip. The impact sent shock waves through her belly, and the baby kicked. Not a gentle flutter, a frantic, terrified thrashing. "Stop!" The word ripped from her throat. "I'm pregnant! Stop!" Harker didn't stop. The asphalt was scorching, rough. Amara's palms scraped across broken glass as she tried to catch herself, tried to protect her belly, tried to understand how a traffic stop had become an assault. Her vision blurred. She could taste copper. She'd bitten her tongue, could smell motor oil and hot tar and her own fear. "Please," she gasped. "The baby!" Harker yanked harder. Her head snapped back. More hair tore free. She felt wetness on her scalp. Blood or sweat, she couldn't tell. A car slowed on the street. Then another. A woman in a Toyota pulled into the lot, her phone already out, already recording. But she didn't get out of the car, didn't yell for Harker to stop, just filmed. A man in the work boots started to approach. "Hey, she's pregnant." "Back up!" Harker's voice cracked like a whip. "This is police business." The man stopped, backing away. Everyone always backed away. "Resisting arrest," Harker panted, dragging her another 3 feet. He was breathing hard now, not from exertion, from excitement. Failure to comply, aggressive behavior. He was building his report in real time, crafting the lie. But Amara wasn't helpless. She was an FBI agent. She'd taken down domestic terrorists. She could break his wrist in 3 moves, disable him in 5. But she couldn't do any of that, because one wrong move and her son would pay the price. So she went limp. Let him drag her, let him think he'd won, and she memorized everything. Even through the pain, Amara's mind was working, cataloging, building a case. Badge number 4719. Time 10:47 a.m. Witnesses at least 4, 2 recording on phones. Physical evidence, her hair in his fist, his fingerprints on her scalp, her blood on the asphalt. "One of those women," Harker muttered, dragging her toward his patrol car. "Think you can drive around here like you own the place?" Amara's body couldn't take any more. The cramping in her belly was intensifying. Sharp, twisting, wrong. She'd read about placental abruption, read about how quickly a baby could die. "My baby," she whispered. "Please, my baby." For just a moment, something flickered across Harker's face, like he'd suddenly remembered she was human. Then it was gone. He shoved her against the patrol car. Her belly hit the door panel. Not hard, but hard enough that she cried out, hard enough that the baby's kicking stopped. Complete stillness. No movement. Nothing. No. No, no, no. Amara's hands flew to her belly, pressing, searching. "Move, baby. Please move." She'd investigated police brutality for years, seen the photos, read the autopsy reports. She'd thought she understood what it felt like to be on the receiving end of badge-sanctioned violence. She'd understood nothing, and then she heard it. A sound that cut through her panic like a blade. Tires, multiple vehicles, moving fast. Harker heard it too. He looked up, hand freezing on his handcuffs, confusion crossing his face. 3 black SUVs, unmarked, government issue, came around the corner in formation. No sirens, no lights, just speed and precision and purpose. They surrounded the parking lot like a military extraction. Doors flew open before the vehicles fully stopped. Men and women in tactical gear and FBI windbreakers poured out. Not local cops, federal agents, 7 of them. And, leading them, sprinting across the parking lot with a look of absolute terror on his face, was Jordan Daniels, Amara's husband. "Get your hands off my wife!" Jordan's voice wasn't just loud, it was primal. Harker's hand was still tangled in Amara's hair, still pressed against her back. He turned, confused, defensive. "Sir, step back, this is a police matter." And then he saw it, the badge in Jordan's hand. Federal, FBI, the agents surrounding him, Federal, FBI, and the woman bleeding at his feet, the woman whose hair was still wrapped around his fingers. She was Federal, FBI. The color drained from Deputy Alan Harker's face. Time didn't stop, but it fractured, slowed, like the universe itself was holding its breath to watch a powerful man realize he'd just destroyed his entire life. "I said get your hands off her." Jordan's voice was quieter now, more dangerous. He crossed the parking lot in 4 strides, his FBI credentials held high. "Last warning, Deputy." Harker's fingers unclenched, slowly, reluctantly, releasing Amara's hair strand by strand. Amara collapsed the moment he released her. Her knees buckled. Her hands flew to her belly, pressing, searching, praying for movement. "Elijah," she whispered. "Please, baby. Move." Jordan was beside her in seconds, catching her before she hit the ground. "I've got you. The ambulance is 2 minutes out." "He's not moving." Amara's voice cracked. "Jordan, he's not—" And then she felt it, a flutter, weak, tentative, but there, alive. The sob that ripped from her chest was relief and trauma and rage all at once. Jordan felt it too. His hand pressed against her belly, tears streaming down his face. "He's okay. He's strong, just like his mom." One of the agents, a woman in her 50s with silver hair, approached Harker. Special Agent Patricia Hendricks. She held up a black leather credentials folder. FBI badge on one side, ID card on the other, photo of Amara Daniels. "Special Agent Amara Daniels," Hendricks said, her voice carrying across the parking lot. "Behavioral Threat Response Unit. 8 years of service, 43 commendations. Currently on modified duty due to pregnancy." She let that information hang in the air, let it sink into Harker's consciousness. "And you just assaulted her." Harker's face cycled through emotions too fast to track. Confusion, disbelief, panic, then indignant anger. "She was resisting arrest." His voice was too loud, too defensive. "She refused to comply. I had probable cause." "Probable cause for what?" Another agent stepped forward, young, black, furious. "Special Agent Marcus Webb. What traffic violation? What crime?" Harker's mouth opened, closed. Her vehicle matched a description." "A description of what?" Webb pressed. "A silver SUV? You know how many silver SUVs are registered in this county? 47,000. So what was it, Deputy? What made you target this specific vehicle? This specific driver?" Silence. Because they all knew the answer. He'd seen a black woman in an expensive car, and in his mind, that was crime enough. The agents moved with practiced precision. Agent Hendricks photographed Amara's scalp lacerations, the blood on the asphalt, the hair still caught in Harker's hand. Another agent recorded statements from the witnesses. The woman in the Toyota who'd filmed everything, the man in work boots, the elderly woman in the Prius who was crying now, apologizing to Amara for not doing more. "You did enough," Amara told her gently. "Your presence mattered." A third agent was already pulling Harker's body cam footage, except the camera was off. Conveniently. Accidentally. "Wait." Harker's voice had lost its authority. Now it was just scared. There's been a misunderstanding. She didn't identify herself." "How was I supposed to know?" "Know what?" Jordan stood now. His voice was ice. "Know that you shouldn't drag a pregnant woman by her hair? Know that brutality is wrong? Which part requires her to be FBI before it becomes unacceptable to you?" The question hung in the air like an indictment. "You're under arrest," Hendricks said, pulling handcuffs from her belt. "For assault on a federal officer, obstruction of justice, civil rights violations under Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 242. "Civil rights?" Harker's face went white. No, this isn't—" "I was doing my job." The ambulance screamed into the parking lot. Paramedics jumped out. "Ma'am, I'm Sarah. Can you tell me where you're hurt?" "My baby," Amara said. "Is he okay?" Sarah pulled out a portable fetal Doppler, pressing it against Amara's belly. For 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, there was nothing. Then, thump, 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 fast, strong, alive. "His heart rate is elevated, 160. That's higher than we'd like, but it's strong. We need to get you to the hospital." "I'm going with her," Jordan said. Harker's head snapped up. "Panic button?" Agent Hendricks smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Did you think Special Agent Daniels just happened to have backup nearby? She activated her emergency beacon the moment you pulled her over. We've been watching this entire assault in real time, every second, every word, every moment of your career ending. The realization hit Harker like a freight train. She'd known, the entire time. She'd stayed quiet, stayed calm, endured his brutality, not because she was helpless, but because she was building a case. She'd turned his violence into evidence, his hatred into his own conviction. As the paramedics loaded Amara onto the stretcher, Hendricks leaned close to Harker, handcuffs clicking into place. You should know, Special Agent Daniels has been investigating your department for 8 months. The purists, the complaint suppression, the pattern of targeting black motorists, we have everything, and you just gave us the perfect reason to execute our warrants. Harker's face went from white to gray. Warrants? Plural. Your locker, your home, your devices, your fellow officers. By tomorrow morning, everyone who helped you cover up your previous assaults is going to federal prison. She pushed him toward the SUV. You didn't just assault a pregnant woman today, Deputy. You gave us the key to tear down your entire corrupt system. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Amara lay in the bed while a technician moved the ultrasound wand across her skin. Jordan stood beside her, gripping her hand. Neither of them breathed as they watched the screen, black and white static, gray shapes. And then, there, a flutter, a perfect, defiant heartbeat. Baby's heart rate is coming down, the technician said. 140 now. That's much better. And I'm not seeing any signs of placental abruption, no bleeding, no separation. He's a fighter. Amara closed her eyes. Tears leaked from the corners. Can I see him? The technician smiled. See him? Honey, you can meet him. She angled the screen, and there he was, Elijah, thumb in his mouth, completely unaware that the world had tried to kill him today. Jordan broke, just collapsed into the chair beside the bed, face in his hands, sobbing. I thought I lost you both. But you did get there. You saved us. The door opened. Agent Hendricks entered, followed by Agent Webb and 2 others. They looked grim. How are you feeling? Hendricks asked. Like I got dragged across a parking lot by a racist cop. Amara's voice had an edge now. Tell me you got everything. Hendricks pulled a tablet from her bag. We got more than everything. Harker's locker contained 3 burner phones, all linked to a private signal group called the Purists. 47 members, 23 of them are Brookhaven PD. Jordan's head snapped up. 23? That's nearly a third of Brookhaven's force. Gets worse? Webb pulled up his tablet, swiping through screenshots. The messages go back 4 years. They coordinate, they plan, they have a system. Webb turned his tablet toward Amara. She read the messages. Got another one tonight. Made sure the body cam malfunctioned. Clean. IA complaint came through. Don't worry, I'm on the review board. It'll disappear. And then, dated 3 months ago, saw that FBI bitch again. The pregnant one. Someone needs to teach her respect. It was from Harker. About her. 3 months before he'd pulled her over. This wasn't random. This was premeditated. Targeted. He was hunting me, Amara said quietly. No. Hendricks shook her head. He had no idea about your actual job. He just saw a black woman who didn't lower her eyes, who drove a nice car. That was enough to make you a target. Another agent, Rodriguez, leaned against the wall. Harker's laptop gave us access to the group's shared drive. They've been documenting their interventions for years. Photos, videos, logs. It's like they were building a trophy case. Or insurance, Webb added darkly. Mutually assured destruction. Keeps everyone loyal. Keeps everyone quiet. Hendricks swiped to another screen. We've identified 17 previous incidents involving Harker specifically. Excessive force complaints that were resolved internally. Witnesses who suddenly recanted. In 4 cases, the complainants left town entirely. They scared them away, Jordan said. Or paid them off, or threatened their families. Hendricks looked at Amara. But your assault, federal officer, documented by multiple witnesses, recorded on civilian phones, tracked via your panic beacon. That's the thread that unravels the entire sweater. We have probable cause now to execute warrants across 6 departments." "The women who left town," Amara said softly. "Find them. Protect them. They're going to be our witnesses." "Already on it," Webb confirmed. "We've located 12 so far. 3 are willing to testify. We need to move fast. Simultaneous arrests, tomorrow morning." "Amara." Jordan's voice was gentle but firm. "You just got assaulted. You're in a hospital bed." "I'll rest when they're in prison." Hendricks nodded. "Judge Morrison is reviewing the applications now. We'll have 23 arrest warrants by 6 a.m. "The raids start at dawn," Rodriguez added. "This is going to be the biggest police corruption takedown in state history." Amara felt something unfurl in her chest. The beginning of justice. As the agents filed out, Jordan remained, holding Amara's hand. Outside the window, the sun was setting. In 12 hours, it would rise on a very different Brookhaven. "You should rest," Jordan whispered. "I will." Amara placed her other hand on her belly, feeling Elijah kick. "But first, I need you to bring me my laptop. I want to review every file on every officer we're arresting tomorrow." "Why?" She smiled. It wasn't a gentle smile. "Because when they ask how we knew, I want to look them in the eyes and say, I've been watching you for months. I know everything. And you never saw me coming." Tomorrow, the purists would learn what Harker had learned too late. She wasn't prey. She was the predator. 6 a.m. 23 addresses. Simultaneous breach. Amara watched it unfold from the FBI field office command center, 17 monitors glowing in the pre-dawn darkness. Each screen showed a different front door, a different corrupt officer, a different reckoning. Jordan stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder. Agent Hendricks sat beside her, radio in hand. "All teams," Hendricks said. "Execute." 23 doors exploded inward at exactly the same moment. Mara watched as officers who'd spent careers breaking into homes experienced it from the other side. Saw them dragged from beds in their underwear, hands cuffed behind their backs, faces pressed against walls. Saw their wives screaming, their children crying, their worlds collapsing in real time. She felt nothing, no satisfaction, no remorse, just cold, professional observation. This was justice, impersonal, inevitable. Screen 7 showed Deputy Alan Harker, federal holding cell. He hadn't slept. His eyes were red-rimmed, his jaw clenched. His lawyer, a public defender, sat across from him. "They have everything," the lawyer said. "The signal messages, witness statements from 17 previous incidents. The assault was recorded by 4 civilians and tracked by federal surveillance. Alan, there's no defense here. The best I can do is negotiate a plea." "I'm not pleading to anything," Harker snapped. "She's an FBI agent who was 7 months pregnant and you dragged her by her hair across a parking lot." The lawyer closed the folder. "The U.S. attorney is offering 15 years if you cooperate. If you go to trial, you're looking at 30 minimum." Harker's face went white. 30 years? Assault on a federal officer, civil rights violations, conspiracy, obstruction. The lawyer counted them on his fingers. "You weren't just a bad cop, Alan. You were part of a gang that happened to wear badges." Amara's phone lit up with notifications. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The witness videos had gone viral overnight. 40 million views and climbing. Hashtags were trending. Bombed. Justice. For Amara. Shout out. The purists. Shash. Badges. Don't protect. Brutality News anchors were calling it a watershed moment. The governor had called an emergency press conference. The mayor of Brookhaven had resigned at 4 a.m. "They're calling you a hero," Jordan said softly. "I'm not a hero." Amara's eyes never left the monitors. "I'm just a woman who refused to be silent." One by one, the purists fractured. Loyalty only lasted until federal prison became real. "The grand jury convenes at 9 a.m., Hendricks said. "You're scheduled to testify at 10. How are you feeling?" Amara touched her bandaged scalp. The stitches pulled when she moved. Elijah kicked regularly now, strong and insistent, reminding her why she was doing this. "I'm ready." "You don't have to do this today," Jordan reminded her gently. "The video evidence is enough." "No, I need to do this now. While the wounds are fresh, they need to hear what it feels like to be brutalized by people who swore to protect you. They need to hear it from me." Today, she'd do it. Not for revenge, for precedent. For every woman who'd been dragged, beaten, silenced, and erased. For every victim who'd been too scared to testify. She'd be the voice that couldn't be ignored. The grand jury room was smaller than Amara expected. 23 jurors sat in tiered rows. The U.S. Attorney, Catherine Moss, stood beside the evidence table where Amara's torn clothing, bloodied hoodie, and clumps of her own hair sat sealed in evidence bags. "Please state your name for the record." "Special Agent Amara Daniels, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Behavioral Threat Response Unit, badge number 71324. Moss walked her through the timeline. The traffic stop, Harker's aggression, the moment he grabbed her hair, the dragging. Amara described it all in precise, unemotional language. Facts, observations, evidence. But when Moss asked, "How did it feel when your baby stopped moving?" something in Amara's composure cracked. It felt like the world ended, like everything I'd fought for meant nothing if I couldn't protect him. I'm an FBI agent. I've been shot at. I've faced down armed extremists. I've stared into the eyes of domestic terrorists and didn't flinch. Her voice wavered. She steadied it. But when my son stopped moving, I wasn't Special Agent Daniels anymore. I was just a mother, bleeding on asphalt, begging a man with a badge to show me mercy, and he didn't. He looked at my pregnant belly, at my blood, at my tears, and he felt nothing. The jury room was silent. One woman in the back row was crying. He dragged me because he could. Because in that moment, he had a gun and a badge and the backing of 22 other officers who would have vouched for whatever lie he told. He dragged me because he thought I was powerless, because he thought women who look like me don't matter, don't deserve protection, don't deserve basic human dignity. She looked directly at the jurors. "I'm here today because I survived, because I had backup coming, because I happened to be FBI. But I've spent 8 months investigating women who weren't as lucky, who were brutalized by the same officer, who filed complaints that disappeared, who were threatened into silence. This isn't about one bad cop. This is about a system that protected him, that enabled him, that rewarded him with promotions while he terrorized the community. Deputy Harker didn't act alone. He acted with the confidence of a man who knew he'd never face consequences. And he was right, until yesterday." Moss placed a hand on the evidence table. "Special Agent Daniels, in your professional opinion, do you believe Deputy Harker's assault on you was an isolated incident?" "No. It was part of a 4-year pattern of coordinated civil rights violations by an organized group within the Brookhaven Police Department. They called themselves the Purists. They had a command structure, communication protocols, evidence suppression systems. They functioned as a criminal organization that happened to have legal authority." She paused. "The only difference between the Purists and the hate groups I usually investigate is that the Purists had badges, and that made them more dangerous." The grand jury deliberated for 18 minutes. When they returned, the foreman, an elderly black man with silver hair, read the verdict. "On all counts, for all defendants, true bill. We find sufficient evidence to indict." 23 indictments, 47 charges. RICO violations, civil rights abuses, conspiracy, obstruction, assault on a federal officer. The Purists were done. 6 months later, Amara stood at the front of a press conference, her son, Elijah, 3 months old now, healthy and perfect, sleeping against Jordan's chest in the audience. Her hair had grown back in patches. The scars on her scalp were fading, but still visible. She wore them like badges of honor. Behind her, a banner read, "Department of Justice Police Accountability Task Force." "Today," Amara said, her voice carrying across the packed room, "I'm honored to announce the formation of a federal task force dedicated to investigating corruption in law enforcement agencies nationwide. We will be proactive, we will be thorough, and we will be relentless." She looked directly into the cameras. "To the officers who uphold their oath, who serve with honor, who treat every person with dignity. Thank you. This task force is not about you, but to the ones who use their badge as a weapon, who brutalize the vulnerable, who hide behind the thin blue line while committing crimes. We're coming for you, and we will not stop until justice is served. Deputy Alan Harker took the plea deal. 15 years in federal prison, no parole. The day he was sentenced, Amara attended. She sat in the gallery, holding Elijah, and watched Harker shuffle into the courtroom in chains. He looked smaller now, diminished. When the judge asked if he had anything to say, Harker turned to look at Amara. "I'm sorry," he said. The words sounded hollow. Amara stood. The courtroom went silent. "Your apology means nothing, because you're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you got caught. Real justice isn't about your redemption. It's about making sure you never have the power to hurt anyone again." She sat back down. Elijah stirred against her chest but didn't wake. The judge sentenced Harker to 15 years. That evening, Amara sat in her nursery, rocking Elijah to sleep. Jordan stood in the doorway. "Do you think it was worth it?" Jordan asked softly. "Everything you went through." Amara looked down at Elijah's sleeping face. "I think that my son will grow up in a world that's a little bit safer because his mother refused to be silent. I think 17 women who were too scared to testify found their courage because they saw me fight back. I think 23 corrupt officers will never hurt anyone again. And I think every dirty cop watching the news tonight knows that the FBI is watching them." She kissed Elijah's forehead. "So, yes, it was worth it." Outside, the sun set on Brookhaven City. Tomorrow, it would rise on a community beginning to heal, on a police department under federal oversight, on a system that was broken but being rebuilt, and in that nursery, holding her son, Amara Daniels, FBI agent, mother, survivor, whispered the same lullaby her grandmother had sung, the same one she'd been humming the day Harker pulled her over. The melody was the same, but everything else had changed. Justice had been served, and power, finally, had found its match. If you made it to the end of this story, you're part of something bigger. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit that like button so more people can find this story. And drop a comment. I read every single one. The algorithm pushes videos that people engage with. So if you want more stories like this, take 5 seconds right now. Like, comment, subscribe. That's how we change the conversation. Thank you for watching. See you next time.